to your house. Hi, I'm Jenny McNulty. This is the In-House Comedy Chat, more than a talk show. We are energizing your mind, body, and spirit. And today, my is a retired fleet chief, I messed it up already, darn it. Retired military. Okay, can we do this all over again? Shit, no, it's live. Hey, hello, welcome to your house. Hi, I'm Jenny McNulty. This is the In-House Comedy Chat. And more than a talk show, we're going to uplift your mind, body, and spirit. We're going to take a fun walk on the beach. Yes, we are. And my guest today is none other than JoAnn Ortloff, a retired Fleet Master Chief from the United States Navy, served 33 years for our country. So she has created a most awesome set of toys that we're going to talk about, and we'll talk about her military history. But first, my thoughts. This is International Women's Day. It's the day we celebrate the fact that we are just so much smarter and better than guys. Oh wait, that's every day. This weekend, Sunday was a big day. Oh my God, all the news was all about the big TV broadcast. Ooh, the TV event that was Sunday. You all know what I'm talking about, of course, right? All of the basketball all-star events were on the same day. They had the slam dunk on the same day as the three-point contest and the skills contest and the all-star game. It was fabulous. Oh yeah, and there was a thing with the prince. Meghan and Harry, of course, were talking to Oprah, and everybody made a big deal. It was kind of funny if you looked at all the different papers, like one or the news people, the Yahoo News said there were something like 10 takeaways from the Meghan and Harry interview, and CNN had 11 takeaways. The BBC naturally had 12 takeaways from the Meghan and Harry interview. Here's the main one that I liked. The little boy says, little Archie, whenever anyone leaves the house, he's almost 2 now and speaking, and he tells everyone, drive safe. Isn't that cute? And I'm so glad my mother is still with us. In general, of course, I'm glad my mother's still with us, but that is what my mother says to me every time I leave her apartment. She yells it down the hallway. After she locks the door, she yells, drive safe. So if she were not with us anymore, I would be convinced that child was my mother, and I'd probably get arrested for trying to crash their Santa Barbara home going, but Archie's my mom, Archie's my mom. Who else says drive safe? And it should be drive safely, but I'm not going to correct either one of them. My guest today is JoAnn Ortloff. She created really cool little army toys, but not just army, military toys, but female military toys. Remember those little green men, toy soldiers? I don't know, many of the guests out there, or many of my viewers out there, I'm sure, used to play with the little army men, right? Well, JoAnn made a female batch of them. It's a pretty awesome story. Here's a clip of a little bit of how it came to be, and then we're going to find out from JoAnn just exactly how these cool toys came to be. Here you go.
Bucket, and if you lost a few, you just went and got some more. And I did, even at that young age, wonder, where are the women?
And it's a question JoAnn Ortloff would have again after spending 33 years in the United States Navy.
I was the Fleet Master Chief when I retired for Naval Forces Europe and Africa, and the senior enlisted woman when I retired in 2015.
In 2018, she went on a cruise with fellow women service members, and that's when that question that she'd raised as a child would come up again.
And we talked about these things, about women's representation in the military and what more could we do. I got off the cruise and I thought, why aren't there more women's toys or toys that are, you know, female oriented with the military?
Here she is, ladies and gentlemen, JoAnn Ortloff. Hello, JoAnn. How are you today?
I'm great, thank you. International Women's Day. I mean, extra charged.
Exactly. And let me say before I go one step further, thank you so much for your service. It's 33 years for our country is amazing, and thank you for everything that you did.
Thank you.
So tell us now. Let's start right with the toys, right? So you come up with this idea. You go on a cruise. Tell us a little bit what happens. You go on a cruise with a bunch of your pals, and then what?
Yeah, so the cruise was, you know, a bunch of Navy chiefs like myself at the time, active duty reserve retired. We all got together and did what we called the Chick Chiefs cruise. And during the cruise, that particular cruise line has a military appreciation day. So we went to that. And a lot of folks were looking at us at the table. There were some other women there, but they were sporadic and mostly men. And it was like, it was a big, unique, like we were unicorns. Like, oh my gosh, there's women. And so we got to talking about that, about women's representation, military women's representation. And, you know, whether it's at events or online or commercials. And then we got talking about toys. So after the cruise, it was less than a month after the cruise, I got thinking, yeah, you know, I have a Navy Barbie, but what about those little plastic army, you know, toys that I used to play with my brother? So I Googled it and to see if there were any out there. And let me tell you, if you Google it, be careful what words you put in there because words matter. And a lot of really dolls started showing up. So no, that wasn't find any. So I wrote to several toy manufacturers, and only one wrote me back. And I wrote the same letter about, you know, hey, I have grandchildren and nieces and nephews, and you know, where is our representation and how can I help? And here's some ideas and what would it take? Well, Jeff Imel of BMC Toys wrote me back, and he said, you know, I hear you. And I agree with you, and our company wants to make these toys, but you know, we've got some other projects on the front burners, and you know, there's the cost of the molds and the settings and doing the sketches, and so it might be a little while. And then he wrote me back. I wrote him and said, hey, what I'll take because I can get things done. So he said, hey, if you you know, some interest out there, because I don't know what the interest is. And he said, if you can get some generated interest, I'll start a blog. And he said, wait till Thursday till I put it together. So he did. He put together a blog, and we worked together on getting the word out. And I'm telling you, I went to every website I could and every social media where there was military, and it went like wildfire. It was like, you know, men and women were like, oh my gosh, really? This was an interesting one that I heard. I didn't even think I needed these toys until you said something. I didn't realize that there were. And then there were so many others that said, oh my gosh, it's about time. And, you know, at the time they had the little army men, but they had them in pink. And so I'm an ambassador for the military women's museum in Arlington, and we would use those pink men versions at events to talk about the memorial and get women registered. And you know, again, I said to him, this isn't appropriate. We are not military men dressed in pink. We are military women, and we do some very unnatural and very unnerving things, and we fight for our country, and we come home after feeling so much pride and so much honor and achievement, and we feel like we've done a great job, only to be challenged, you know, are you the veteran or are you the veteran wife? And so it hurts that we're not being taken seriously or represented. So sounds like this is something trite and small, all about a toy. But I'm telling you, it starts at a young age when children are playing and see these toys as representations of what they can be when they grow up. And I want my granddaughters to see that they can be brilliant, bold, and beautiful at the same time.
Now, you talk about how it affects, you know, young children and seeing those young toys. There was a young girl that got involved in this campaign too, but she was actually involved after you. Is that correct? Who's the little girl?
Yes, young Vivian. So she too wrote a letter to BMC Toys. It's my understanding that her mom's friend is a veteran, and she had seen our post, and thank goodness, because I was delighted. Vivian also wrote a letter, and they sent it to the media, and it captured the media attention. You know, this young girl. But it's important for, I think, everyone to understand that it was women veterans who launched this project with BMC Toys so that girls like Vivian could also jump on this, you know, bandwagon and make it, you know, resonate through every generation and every age across the country, across the world, that not only are old farts like me, you know, looking for that, you know, women's representation, but our younger generation, and starting with young girls like Vivian, are looking for that too. And so I'm grateful that the media picked up on that story as well.
Yeah, no, you sent, you come up with the idea, you come up with a GoFundMe campaign, because this guy is a toy maker and he's got to make a whole new machine mold to make these new characters. So tell us about the initial designs that he drew up, because he went to town, he and his sister, I believe it was, went to town designing them, and they weren't quite up to military standards, so to speak.
Right. So, to help girls like Vivian understand, beyond the toy, there are some appropriate, necessities in the design. So like a year before she wrote her letter, we were in the mold process with BMC Toys, and Jeff Imel's sister is the designer. And so she had done up all those initial sketches, and he had, published them for us on the blog and said, hey, take a look at these and let us know where we're at. And so let me tell you, he got a lot of immediate feedback of, okay, the hair needs to be up a little bit higher, and it needs to be pulled off to the side of the regulations. The proportions need to be appropriate for the uniform. And while women do have, a different figure than males, when we're in the uniform is designed for military mission, not for the runway. And so when these toys, design them proportionate to the fit. So we helped him a lot with hair, grooming, stances. While women and men are not the same, we are equal. And there's a difference between being equal and being the same. And so what we wanted was equal representation, but not with the same design. And he captured that, and his sister was incredibly amazing capturing that in the design. And we're very grateful that they took all of our feedback and that they opened up and asked, and so that before the molds were made, they were appropriate.
That's awesome. I think it's funny too. It's like, here with a nice long hair. Nope. All different. So, Les, you mentioned in passing there the Women in Military Memorial there. Tell us a little bit about that. You are the ambassador from Arizona. So tell us about what that project is and how military veterans can get involved in that.
So the Women in Military for Service of America, the WIMSA, or we'd like to say the Women's Veterans Museum, or the Women's Military Museum for active, reserve, veterans. They're at Arlington. In fact, when you go to Arlington Cemetery, as you drive into Arlington, it's that first thing that you see, that beautiful structure. That is the Military Women's Museum or Memorial. And what we're doing now this year, particularly in the month of March for Women's History Month, is this campaign to get the word out about the memorial, that all women who have served and are serving are asked to register so that you can tell your story. You can upload pictures, you can put your assignments, you can tell your sea story or what have you, because we want the world to be able to see who you are. We want the world to hear your story. We want to get that word out that this memorial has been around for a couple of decades now, and now that the campaign is in full swing, each ambassador, which they've established a few years ago, each state now is having ambassadors to get out and go to events and present the story, present information, and let the world know, one at a time if necessary, and women have served, and over 3.umpteen million women are out there. It's not just as a one particular rating or specialty in the military now. In 2015, it opened up to everyone, or it opened up all ratings to all of us, to everyone, regardless of your gender or your background. So we have women serving in submarines and tanks and special forces, and we want to get that word out through the memorial and get women to register so that everybody can see how great we are, whether we're in pink or green or khaki.
Yes, and I want to get onto your military career in a moment. And if you're just joining us, I'm Jenny McNulty. This is the In-House Comedy Chat. I am speaking with JoAnn Ortloff, a Fleet Master Chief retired from the U.S. Navy and the creator of really super awesome female military figures, which come in more than pink. The initial post that I saw in a group that we're both in, boy, they were pretty mad that they came in pink because your picture had all of your people there, but then you were holding one that was in pink. So you can let people know what colors your military personnel come in.
Well, just like the male versions, they come in khaki, they come in green, and they come in pink. What's special about the women versions is BMC Toys did design a Rosie the Riveter, and she comes in pink and khaki as well. So we have all the different stances and all the different armaments and all the different poses, much like the male versions. So for those who don't want them in pink, you can get them in green and pink. And men and women, you can get a bucket full of them where they're all made, just like we are out in the field. So,
so now you are a Fleet Master Chief, which I had a hard time saying in the beginning. I so apologize for messing that up. Did you always want to be in the military? 33 years, that was a long time to serve. Was it always a goal of yours, or what propelled you to join the military to begin with?
Well, two things really. One, I am number 6 of 7 children, and my mother, who was a single mother for most of that during the 60s and 70s, she raised all of us to serve in one capacity or another. You know, she said, I don't care if you're, you know, a teacher in the military or the Peace Corps, you go do something, and then you can go live your life, or live part of your life and go do something, but you will give back and then carry on smartly. So some of us went into the military. I have a brother in the Coast Guard. My sister joined the Army during the Vietnam era, and she was Army intelligence. And yes, she did get a set of so, you know, I knew I was going to serve at one point or another, but what really propelled me into it was when my brother Carl turned 18. He's 2 years older than I am. And we went to the post office, and he went to go register for the draft. And I had asked the postmaster for, you know, a copy of it, you know, so I could take a look at it. And he said to me, oh, little girl, girls don't have to go into the military, just the boys. You don't serve in the military. And I thought, even back then, oh, no, you didn't. And but of age, you know, those two things coupled together when I hadn't figured out how I was going to give back or serve or, you know, meet my mother's million requirements, was to join the Navy. And I was only going to join for, like most veterans, I was only joining for my first tour to serve my country and then move along. I joined as an air traffic controller. And, you know, I was going to do 4 years and go work for the FAA. And, you know, 33 years later, I retired as the senior enlisted woman in the Navy at the time as a Fleet Master Chief in Europe and Africa. And it was very good to me, and I think I was pretty good for the service.
That is awesome. Congratulations and thank you. And what, for those who are non-military savvy, what is the Fleet Master Chief? Like, what rank is that equivalent to, or what were you in charge of with that title?
So in the military, in all the military branches, you have an officer structure and an enlisted structure. So you have officer and enlisted. So I should say enlisted. For the enlisted ranks, they're enlisted pay grade 1 through E9. And so I was an E9, had come up through the ranks. And for the Navy, the Fleet Master Chief, there are 4 in the United States Navy. I was the second female to be selected, and first female to be selected as a numbered fleet prior to that. So as a Fleet Master Chief, we are the senior enlisted for that area. So I was the senior enlisted Navy advisor for Europe and Africa, to my admiral, to the Master Chief Petty Officer of the Navy to the Chief of Naval Operations to the Supreme Allied Commander in Europe for a myriad of things like policies on integration, on, it wasn't gender specific, just on how to take an exam, advancement structure, assignments, uniforms. And the other unique thing that I am very proud of that we got to do in Europe was, as the senior enlisted Navy, I was asked by the four-star general at UCOM and that chain of command there to educate our partner nations on how we raise enlisted sailors in the Navy and how we raise them from being a citizen to my rank, for example, and what we did in the different ratings. And that was part of a NATO requirement for the partner nation to be looked at to join NATO, that they had an officer and an enlisted instructor. So on the Navy's behalf, that's what I did for our European nations, did a lot of leadership and educational dialogue and briefs on how we do that.
You also received many, 9 good conduct medals and a medal from the Secretary of Defense and all these things. What is something of which you are most proud that you did in the Navy, whether it be a medal or talking to somebody one day on a base? What makes you most proud about your service?
Most proud about my service?
What you have done within your years in the Navy. I mean, to have all those accommodations, if you have a jacket on, it's weighted down with 88 pounds worth of medals. So which one would you really point to and go, this is the one that really I really appreciate?
There's 2 things I think I would say I'm proud of equally. And one is the Navy Good Conduct Medal, because I got good conduct and got away with it. If you do anything in error or violation in that 4 years at the time, then you didn't get awarded. So getting 9 3 years means I got away with it. So I'm pretty proud of that, though. I mean, I really did try to. We all make mistakes, and we all do weird stuff that we're like, oh, thank God there was no cell phone back then. Yeah, I don't know if I'd have gotten 9 of those medals if there were cell phones, but so I am proud of those. But I think what makes me most proud isn't a significant action. It is the after action that now in retirement, I've been retired almost 6 years, and I still get, calls or emails or texts from young sailors that were, just young sailors on their first deployment with me on a carrier, on a destroyer, and are like, hey, I remember when you told me this, and it didn't make sense at the time, but I'm applying it now, and I just got it advanced, and I wanted you to know, and that can bring a little tear to this eye, but there's no crying in military. But there is, if you could see her, she's got a little tear, when and it's most important or most satisfying or gratifying or humbling more than anything else is when that young sailor, advances and 10, 15 years later, I'm retired and they're almost in my shoes and they're saying thank you, or hey, I remember, or I appreciate you being tough at me at that time, and if you hadn't been, I wouldn't have made it, and blah blah blah. And so yeah, I think I definitely say that's what I'm most proud of.
That is awesome. Thank you so much for spending time. I want to ask you another couple of quick questions before we go, but to get those amazing toys, they can go to Jeff's website. Is that correct? BMC Toys, is that right?
Yes, BMC Toys, BMC Toys, BMC Toys. It's really important that
there it is.
BMC Toys with your plastic Army women figures. And what's really great is, he even took the time to get some research and some information on the back about women's history and where we're at. And BMC Toys, BMC Toys, BMC Toys, I may have initiated this project and helped with the sketches and helped with, the designs of the molds and, got all these great military women together from all the branches to sign up and provide some feedback and spread the word and never give up. I did not give up on Jeff. It took some months of, contacting him. Where are we at on this project, Jeff? And where are we at on the sketch? So it took a lot, but I can't thank BMC Toys enough for taking this step and making these happen, because hopefully this is inspiring some other toy makers to, make appropriate proportioned and represented women figures and women toys, and not just color the male ones.
Excellent. All right, before
I said, even though pink's a great color, pink's a great color.
Yes, it's fine. It's fine. We don't hate pink. So before I let you go, I always ask my guests what they do. So tell us, what does a 33-year Navy veteran do to make themselves feel more positive? Like when you're feeling down in the dumps and you just need to uplift, what do you do, JoAnn?
There's a few movies in my corny repertoire, if you will, that when I'm feeling kind of down in the dumps or, I need a good uplift, I will put on Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. That's one of the movies of all times. I mean, a good comedy. I never really needed a good cry to feel better. I needed a good laugh. And that's why I love your site, and I love watching your vignettes.
Thank you.
Because it's a good laugh. And that's what I do to get me out of the dumps is I watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and I'm telling you, I could put that movie all day long with you if you wanted to.
There's no boats in that. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Nary a ship for the 33-year Navy veteran. Maybe that's it. Escapism. Thank you so much for spending International Women's Day with us. I very much appreciate you being here. I really very, very much appreciate your 33 years in service to our country. Thank you so much. Thank you, JoAnn Ortloff.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. And all right, are you guys ready to go take a walk while you're putting your shoes on? I've got another Navy vet doing wonderful things. This guy is from the Thai Navy, and he rescues little kittens on a ship. So while I go bring the beach to you guys, you get your shoes on, enjoy this Navy vet. Let's go take a walk, shall we?
น้ำน้อยมีอย่างตัวนิดนึงแต่นี้ไม่ดีขึ้นเท่าไหร่เหมือนว่าขนมีการดัดนิดนึงเพราะโดนไฟเด็ดนิดนึงปิดกระดาน
And all right, we're back. Sorry, this was not your TV. There was no sound in the beginning of that video. I forgot to say that. So don't freak out. You ready? You ready to walk? Are you ready to do this? Is today the day you join me? I think it should be. Come on, get up out of that chair. Get up off the couch. Get out of bed. Let's go. Let's move. You don't necessarily have to walk. It's just the easiest thing you can do. You could stretch. You could dance. But get up out of your chair and get some movement while we celebrate International Women's Day today. Super often. Thank you. Super awesome. Thank you so much, JoAnn, for spending some time with us today. And I'm going to tell you about some more awesome military personnel celebrating this fabulous March 8th day that we are celebrating here. So, we have, there's been a couple of women sometimes served in the military as, they actually they disguised themselves as men. In fact, Deborah Sampson was a woman who not only did she get into the military, she was like 5'9", which at the time the average man was only 5'8". No one ever even knew that she was not a woman until she got injured, and they found out. There was another woman during the Civil War time who was so in love with her with this man she was with, disguised as a man, and changed her name to the man's brother to join the military so she could be with her love during the military. But the very first woman to enlist in the military as a woman in a military position, a lot of times there were nurses in the military, but they were still civilian posts. So this is the first woman to join the U.S. military, to enlist into the U.S. military. And while this video is playing, walk a little faster. Come on, you could do it. Some interval walking. Enjoy. Loretta Walsh, the first woman to enlist in the U.S. military. On March 17, 1917, she enlisted in the Navy, and on March 21, 1917, she became the first female chief petty officer in the U.S. Navy. Prior to that time, there were women that served, but primarily they were nurses, and they were considered civilian employees with a low pay grade. She served her active duty in a naval shipyard in Philadelphia, and when the war ended, she continued her service as an inactive reserve until she was released on March 21st, 1921. And there she was. The first enlisted person in the military was in the Navy. It's Navy Day today. Thank you to all of you out there that serve. I know many of you that are watching right now are retired or were in the military. Thank you very much for all of your service. It is a wonderful thing to do, and we all very much appreciate it. And I appreciate you being here with me today. I want to thank my guest, JoAnn Ortloff, retired Fleet Navy Fleet. Darn it! I gotta bend down here. I have this on my beach thing here. Fleet Master Chief JoAnn Ortloff. Thank you, JoAnn, for being with us. I want to thank Sheila for directing and making me look good, and of course, I want to thank you for watching and for walking along, because you are walking, right? Yes, you are. It's not too late to get up and move. Get up. You need to move. Well, you need to move. No password today. But we'll be back again Wednesday, so tune in Wednesday at 1 p.m. for the next episode of the In-House Comedy Chat. Thank you all so much. Now go. Get up. Don't sit down for the next 15 minutes. Keep moving. Bye, y'all.